Hey everyone, today we are going to be swatching and reviewing the Unicorn Cosmetics Angel palette. This was a palette that I was super excited for when they announced it. I just love the color story, plus the Unicorn Cosmetics Wicked palette is one of my favorites from last year. So this is a palette I'm super excited for, and I thought I would give you guys my thoughts on the palette, review, and swatches. So if you want to see all that jazz, just keep watching. So I think the palette swatched pretty okay. There were some shades that were more difficult than others, which I will get into. Overall, they swatched okay. We all know swatches don't dictate how eyeshadow is going to work on the eyes. We know this, but this palette didn't swatch the best a palette's ever swatched, but it performed well on my eyes. So at the same time, you know, this is just mainly to see the shades on my pale skin. I will say that the more pastel and bright shades were the ones that I had difficulties with, and the lightest matte brown and the darkest matte brown, for some reason I really had to build those shades up. The purple shade called Dagger, in the pan it looks a lot deeper than it is. It's definitely more on the pastel side, which is fine, but this swatch really had to be built up, so I'm very curious how it'll be on the eyes. I'd honestly recommend using a white base with most of these more pastel type shades, because on my pale skin you can see that they kind of didn't show up as well as they could have. So keep that in mind, that I don't use any primer on my arms when I swatched. Literally dry eyeshadows with my finger, and that's it. That being said, the worst shade to swatch, I would say probably was the purple, which is kind of disappointing, but again, swatches don't dictate how to work on the eyes. I'll just have to try all the pastels on my eyes and see how they go. But the purple was the one that I really had to build up for it to show, and even then it still isn't really showing up that much on my skin in comparison to the shades in pan, but that's to be expected with pastel shades, especially without a primer. So I would just recommend using a primer, specifically like a white base, if you really want these pastel shades to pop. I do think that the shades Blossom and Romance are very similar. They're different tone-wise a little bit, which you can see in the swatch, but really side by side, it's basically one's a darker version of the other, so I don't think we needed those. Also, the shade Renaissance, I'm definitely going to use as a blush. It's like this really beautiful, like, peachy, soft pink sort of color. I'm definitely using that as a blush. This is a really pretty palette, and I'm excited to do more looks with it. You get 26 eyeshadows, 9 shimmers, and the rest are mattes, which I like the variety. I like there being more mattes than shimmers. That being said, this color story really speaks to me. I love the green tones. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I prefer bright eyeshadows, so for me, the bright colors in this palette are the best. I really do think that there could be like one less brown in this palette, in my opinion. Like, I don't think we needed all 3 of these matte browns. It's just kind of a bit redundant for me. I understand they're different tones, but still, for me personally, as someone who likes bright colors, I just didn't need all those browns. I would have much rather had a different type of color. That being said, I still like the color story and layout in this palette. I love that you have like a minty matte green, you have like a periwinkle blue, you have purples, you have like pinky tones, and then you have greens, peaches. Like, you have a lot of variety in this, and I think for spring and summer, this is such a cute concept, and I really like how this palette performs as well. The look I did was pretty simple. I mainly just used the 4 matte green shades, and then used the green shimmer Utopia and a little bit of Eden on the lid. I then took the shade Heavenly, which is this matte peach, all over the lower lash line. I really like how this look turned out. It was simple, but it was also nice. I think that It was just something simple I could do because I haven't been feeling well lately, so my makeup looks haven't exactly been revolutionary. That being said, I really like how the shades blended. They all blended beautifully. They were very pigmented, and I didn't have any issues with any of them, so that makes me happy. The thing is, with the shimmers, I typically use my fingers with shimmer eyeshadows to start. Sometimes if I'm doing a cut crease, I'll use a brush, but it just depends. This one, I used my fingers for the most part, and there is a little bit of hard pan, which can happen. It's not a big deal. You can always scrape it off, but I did want to mention that. I do also really appreciate that you do have a matte white, but then you also have a light enough inner corner shade. So the shade Angel, it's like this white gold duochrome type of shade. It's a little sparkly, which I always love shades that are sparkly. I love that for the inner corner. You can also use the shade Cherub. That is one of the shades that I used, and I just think it's really, really pretty. I like that you could do a simple green look, you could do a pink look, you could do a purple look, you could do a blue look, or you can mix and match. And for those of you like natural eyeshadows, you do have enough natural eyeshadows to do a natural look. Again, for me, I'm not going to be using this for natural looks, but still, it is a nice concept. This palette retails for, I believe, £29.99. I'm from Canada, so I'm not really sure about the European money and how that works, but this is what it retails for on their website, and in Canadian it was around 50 some dollars, which this isn't a cheap palette, but I do think the formula is worth it. And it's an indie brand, so you are supporting a smaller brand, which I always love to do. And I think the owners are just so sweet, and they're always kind, and they actually gave me sneak peeks of this palette before it came out, which was just amazing. Like, seeing the different shades and how they went through the process of picking them was just so freaking cool. So I really love them, and I love this brand. The packaging, which I haven't talked about yet, you do get, oh, I look gross today. You get a big size mirror. I haven't taken the thing off because I never do. You then have, this is the packaging of the palette. It's really, really pretty. I think I already got rid of the box, or I would show you the box packaging, so I apologize. But obviously, it gives you really angel vibes. It's really pretty. The greens definitely are what drew me into this palette initially, but I also really, really like the blue shades in here. Like, I really like the shade Dreamer. I think it's such a beautiful, like, periwinkle type of blue. It's a little bit deeper than Wings and a little bit of a different tone, so I think those two with the shimmer blue on the lid would be a beautiful look altogether. I think that is another thing that I really like about these palettes is the colors. Like, the layout of the colors for this one is a little bit different. Like, they're not all like color stories together, but it works. Like, looking at this palette, I can see different looks I want to do. Like, I could do the purple shades, I could do the pink and purple shades, I could do the magenta shades, I could do the blues, the greens, the peaches. Like, you have a lot of variety in this palette, which I always prefer in a palette. Like, if you're gonna have 20 some shades, have variety in the looks you can do, and this is definitely it. I really like the layout as well, the split pans for the shimmers. I mean, I'm not going to go through a full-size pan, so the fact that they put more shadows in by having them, I love that concept, and I think it was such a brilliant idea. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you subscribe, comment down below any videos you'd like to see me do. Go follow my Instagram and TikTok, Makeup by Tasha XO, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.